All right. As I was mentioning that we will do React to-do list once we go over a couple of concepts in React applications. This is connected to local storage. Okay, so we can check it out. Application, local storage, key value pairs. Okay, so if I click to do one, add to do, right, add to do two, add to do. As you guys can see, it is adding to-dos, each to-dos into local storage. And if I delete it, it is deleting from local storage. And we do have some functionalities, as you guys saw it. If I do to-do add, clear all to-dos pop up, and it will clear all the to-dos. Okay. To-do one, add to-do. Also at the same time we can edit to-dos. And see the edit button changed to save. I will apply that logic in our React application. If I click save, now change back to edit. And our thing is change it in the local storage too, right? Edit, bring it back to the one, save it, and now it's changed again. And we can delete it. All right. So we'll come to that point. So this is brand new Vite. It's not Vite, it's not a Vite, it's a Vite, I guess. That's how they pronounce it. Vite application. I don't have anything inside. I did not change anything. This is the output right now. Let's see how we can deal with forms, right? Let me grab my form JSX over here. Now I do have some stylings for this guy. Well, I did, but let me see if I have it. Okay, cool. So basically, I will just take this one out and put a form. All right, I'll just put a form here, and it contains a lot of stuff. Okay, so let me see. Control F, change with nothing. We can delete. All right, cool. Delete everything for now. Stop complaining. Okay, so not using any of these. All right, so our form looks like this without the styling. But if I put the styling into my app.css, it will look something like this. And if, of course, if I remove this guy right here, it will look like this. Okay, it is very simple form element and contains a bunch of labels and inputs. There's nothing too fancy about it. I can share this code with you guys in Zoom chat right now. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to create a starter code for this one. Okay, cool. So what I can do here is, again, create components folder all the time, and then create my form.jsx file component. Okay, and then rf React functional component, and right over here, I can bring my whole thing, the whole application, cut it out, and put it right over here. Okay, instead of dealing inside our app.jsx, we'll just bring it down here. We need that React, and once we do that, we can just say my form. Of course, we need to start as if it is a tag, right? Should look exact same thing. So it is still rendering my form, which is good. Okay, so when you deal with when we deal with inputs in React applications, right? They will contain value, okay, and then they will contain on change. And as we type our values into this input right here, user input, right? We should be able to uh, refer to the specific input and update the state. Okay, so there's multiple options that we can create state for each input. One of them is just create individually. For instance, if name set if name is equal to uh, use state. Okay, and initially it's just empty string and blah 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 for L name for age, etc. Okay, this is one option. Okay, but it's not efficient, right? It's not efficient way to um, create a state for each individual inputs. The thing about this form is that they're related to each other, right? This form contains every information related to just one person or one human being. So instead of creating individual states for each input elements, we can combine these states into a single state, as I showed you guys last time, right? What we can do here, this guy right here, instead of L name, we can just say form data, all right? And then we can say set form data. Okay, so initially we can create as an object, and inside the object we can say f name. Okay, we can say f name, L name, age, email, and GitHub. All right, so it's up to you guys to change the type to for instance, if it's an age, you change the type of input to number. If it's an email, change number to type to email, etc. But if you change to email, you have to type the valid email to go over it. Okay, so we can skip that for now. So we created our state, and now we can destructure our state. Okay, but if you don't destructure, then you have to put every value as form data, for instance, as fname, like that. Okay, so in order, instead of doing that, we can just destructure our uh, values from, oops, what am I doing? Values from our form data. Okay, so of course we need to take these guys out. Okay. Okay, and then instead of form data fname, we can just put fname and copy paste this guy over here. Fname value. All right, so this is gonna be GitHub, email, age, and L name. Let's pay attention to our console too. Okay, so as you guys can see, it basically says that a component is changing an uncontrolled input to be controlled. So this is likely caused by the value changing from undefined to a defined value, which should not happen. Decide between using a controlled or uncontrolled input element for the lifetime of the component. So basically, when we put the value without the on change, it becomes uncontrolled. But when we put the value with the on change, which we will be doing all the time, okay, This becomes controlled. Now we can control the value of our inputs based on our onChange event. Okay, we can change these values when we enter the values over here. All right, so onChange, handle change, and we can create the handle change right over here. Okay, and this handle change, of course, contains E, and we're going to be extracting the value out of E dot target. Right, console.log value. Now we only put onChange. You provide a value proper to a form field without an onChange handler. Yeah, it's talking about the remaining part. Okay, we'll change it later. So now if I put, as you guys can see, it is showing me E dot target. Okay, so instead of E dot target like this becomes the HTML tag itself, the DOM element itself, right? So we need to do constant value E dot target. So now I should be able to get the value out of it. Okay. So let me put onChange for each and every single input. So we're going to be using one function only, and based on the function and based on their names, right, we should be able to update our state. onChange, onChange, onChange. Okay, so it's not updating our state yet. We're not able to see our values because we're not updating our state. Okay, so it is still grabbing from what? The initial form data. Right? Initial form data is empty strings for each and every single one of them. That's why we are still not seeing our values that we are typing in here.
Excuse me, Azamat. Is that
Yes.
one handle change is going to handle all the inputs?
Yes, one handle change will change every single input.
That's cool, yeah.
Yep, that's what we are trying to do.
Cool.
Azamat,
Mhm.
yeah, in
Yes.
line. Can you please one more time? You put it while you inside scopes for what? One more time.
So it contains either targeted value, right?
Yeah,
So if you don't put this one, it like this. Okay.
just same.
Basically, the target itself is an object.
Yes.
Okay. It is an object. So it contains a value inside it. All right. So copy this one. Let me do. Okay. If I do this one, either target. Okay. So if I type something, either either target
I see the tag.
and they'll change. So basically, yeah. So this input, right? This input is basically a tag. However, it contains the value, right? This value. So in order to reach to the value, sometimes we're doing like this, right? Either target that style, we can apply styling directly to those HTML elements that we are working with, right? Just like that. Or set attribute or add attribute, right? Or change the class name, etc. Just like that, they have inputs have the value, and we can reach out to the values like this. Now there's two ways to grab the value. Okay. can either grab the value like this,
Okay.
or you can just take it out this one and wrap it this one into curly braces.
I understood, yes. Do we need to put trim in this case also? In the first option, how to put trim, where to put
That's a
trim.
good point. Yes, definitely. We can put the trim because sometimes we can put the empty string, right? Yeah, you're right. So we can right over here, we can just say trim
I mean,
and trim.
here I know how to do that. What about the first option, where to put trim just after the target? Where can we write trim?
Oh, trim, of course. Once we get the value, right? We don't have to trim the HTML tag or the DOM element. Okay.
Okay.
So we need to trim the value, not the HTML tag itself.
Oh, Azamat, I mean, in the first option, in line 16, if you want to trim it also, where you can write trim after target?
In the first option,
Mhm.
oh yeah, of course. I mean, you can trim it over here once you grab it.
After, okay.
Yes, after line 16, whatever you would like to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So, at the same time, when they contain a value, right, they also contain name right here, right? They also contain name. They also contain type, etc. If you put ID for inputs, they will contain ID too. Okay, so you can grab everything from here. For instance, type or name, etc. Okay, so we can go by name. So how do we dynamically update? Like when we set form data, okay, when we set form data, we're basically sending out an object, right? So basically overriding this whole object. Okay, we need to send object. So when we send out an object, we don't have we should not do like this. Send out only one f name is equal to value, for instance. Okay, we should not send out a single value. If you do that, then the remaining values will be disappeared. Okay, they will disappear, and your object will contain only f name. We should not do that. We should make sure that we dynamically update our specific key property values inside our form data. Now, how do we do that? So we need to make sure that first of all, we grab the remaining form data first, right? We grab the remaining form data first, and whatever we would like to change, for instance, if name is equal to value, and trim it. Okay. So, however, this is also, it's not appropriate, right? Because we're using single handle change, and every time we change, for instance, age, email, GitHub, it will always change f name. We should not do that. Okay. So how can I make it dynamic right here? That's where name comes in here right here. Do you guys understand this curl? Do you guys understand this square brackets?
Not really. Name, is it like something like ID, something specific?
So let's see it now. Okay, so right over here. The node. Okay, it's working fine. So right over here, let me say constant, for instance, object one is equal to, right, name John, and oops. Okay, so let's say age is equal to 20, country is equal to Japan. Right, I do have an object. If I would like to create another, if I would like to create another object too, right? But it's assuming that it will contain some of the key value pairs from object one. And additionally, I would like to change country, for instance, right? The remaining will be it's same in object two as object one, but the country will be different for object two, right? What I can do here is I can grab object one, okay, the remaining values from object one, and then I can say, okay, let me change the country, right? Country would be, let's say USA. Console.log object one and object two. Save it. Now if I run it, as you guys can see, name John from object one, age 20, right? Country Japan. But in the object two, name John, age 20, country USA. All right. So there's two, as you guys can remember, there's two ways we can reach out to our key value pairs from our objects, right? So the first one would be object one dot name, okay, or object one string name, or const let key field is equal to name, and then we can say key field. Now, as you guys see right here, we're gonna be utilizing this guy right here, right? Object one key field. Now, if I check it again, all of them are returning exact same thing, right? So instead of when I'm creating object two, instead of putting the country itself, I can create a key field, right? A key field right over here. I can say key field. In this case, initially it's going to be country. Okay, let me remove this key field. All right. In this case, it's going to be initially country. And now right over here, instead of country, I can put dynamically key field.
How he is connecting to the object? It's just string. It's just separate variable.
How is it connecting to the object?
Yeah, I mean, country, it looks like separating like string. That's all. But you are
Yeah,
using
right here, right?
key-
As you can see right here, right? As you can see right here,
Yes, yeah.
string name. But this is not dynamic, but this one is dynamical reaching, right? With the square brackets.
Oh, yeah,
And
object
having
one.
the name, you can just create a key field, a string variable, and put the key field itself.
Yeah.
Right? Similarly, when we are generating a new object, we can definitely just like that, we can put these square brackets right inside this object when we are creating new object. Okay, and
yeah.
then let value is equal to USA, and instead of USA right here, we can put dynamically value. Okay, so now let's see it again. Oops, I don't want to comment out object one. Okay, so let me run it again. Same thing, country initially object one is Japan and country USA, right? So now right over here, when it similarly right over here, right? We're using the handle change, the exact same thing, but what if the name changes? What if the name and the value change, all right? For the second option, oops, sorry, for the second option. So instead of country right now, let's change to key field change to name. When I type name, when I type country or GitHub, it was GitHub and the value was whatever that we typed it. But now for the same function, what if I type a first name? Now name and Alex, for instance, okay? So as you guys can see, key field change, name, okay? And the value will be Alex. But this will remain same. And this object, this setup will work for each and every different keys that object contains, right? It will work for name, for country, for age, whatever you would like to change it. Okay, but these guys are coming dynamically, just like that. From e.target, value and name are coming dynamically from e.target. Okay, so now if I save it,
Is it that one name is for name? So name is attribute, right?
name is attribute. Yes, name is
Okay.
attribute.
And
It's
for
coming
every input, it's going to be different name, of course. So it's going to change automatically.
so
It's going to change dynamically. Right? So,
gonna change it dynamically. Yes. So right here, this is my form data. Right. If I replace it. Okay, I replace it. This is my form data initial values. Okay, so in my form data, I'm creating a new object. Basically, new object meaning when I'm trying to update right here. This is the new object. Okay, basically what I'm trying to do here is constant object2 is equal to, and then I'm setting object2 into my set form data. Okay, so this creation is exact same thing as this one right here, right? Well, basically what we are doing here in the form data, we are keeping the remaining, but based on the key field change, right? Let's just keep key field as name. Okay, let's keep the key field as name. Make it exact same thing as what we have in there. Okay, so now name is equal to name. What is it complaining about? Let's see. Name is deprecated. Let's just bring it back. Anyway, so key field is dynamic and value is also dynamic. Now, as you guys can see, I'm changing the name when my key field is name. I'm changing the name. But when my key field is country, I'm changing the country over here from Japan to USA. Right? When the key field is age, I should be able to change my age. Right? So this one is dynamically changing. This is only one. So same logic in our my form. Okay, so we're changing the form data. We're grabbing the remaining, right? If I'm typing F name right now, I should grab these remaining, right? And then I'm only changing F name, and the value that trim. And I'm submitting my form. Okay, so now if I say A, okay, so right, so I can submit my form. So as you guys can see, when we work with the forms, what was the default behavior of the form? It will just refresh the whole page by itself. Okay, so since we got our form data good to go, right over here we can say on submit and handle form submit. Okay, handle form submit, and we can just create our handle form submit function. And of course, it will have an event. And the first thing we need to do is that prevent default behavior of the form element. Okay, and then we can just say console.log. We can just say console.log form data. Okay, so what happens if I submit right now? Every single thing is empty string, right? Because it's just grabbing the initial values. All right, so let me, when I type it something, submit. Now, as you guys can see, my form data contains whatever I typed in my form. Any questions? Did you guys understood this part right here?
Yes. It's
Yeah,
very cool. It's
this is
really
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep in mind this. So JavaScript provides us some sort of solution to dynamically update specific property and value inside our object. If we have a really long object, okay, when we update the form or whatever the object, we can dynamically update with this solution.
So in this case, do we need to have name for all the inputs, right? So we need to have name attribute for every
Name
input.
or ID. Yes, name or ID.
It's
Okay,
gonna
name.
grab, so it's gonna grab name or ID with that. For example, if you put name,
Yes, so
or do
whatever
we need to put ID there?
yes,
If you
whatever you
want.
type unique, it has to be unique, right? Whatever you type are here, whether it's ID or whether it's a name or whether it is like a data ID, okay? You type something in
Okay.
there. You should grab this guy right here, right over here, like this. And based on that, you can or how can we grab this guy right here with if it's a data? It's get data set, something like that, right? I don't exactly remember what was the thing for that, but yeah.
But
So
why do we need to get that names? Because it's getting value and saving it, right? So it can't save without name.
yeah, but if let's say if you don't have a name, how are you going to select which field you are updating, right now? How can you know from the form data which field you are
Oh,
updating?
okay. Oh, okay. It's gonna be comparing with the name
Yes. So
object.
the
Okay,
names,
got it. Yeah.
this name or the ID or whatever it is has to be exact same thing as this guy's right here,
I
the
got
key
it.
value, right? So the property names of this initial form data, it has to be exactly same thing. Otherwise, if it doesn't match, right? Let's say if you put right over here first name, right? F name, but over here you have first. Okay,
Yeah.
it will not update, right? It will not update or it will not update, but it will create another one like this,
Okay. Okay. Makes
right?
sense. Yeah. Cool.
But we need to make sure that we
Good
need to
to
update this. Okay, so handle form submit.
So in case of drop downs, how I need to handle the drop down menus or kind of select tags?
Same thing. They have values, right? And we can put um, name for the they do have name tag. They should have name tag. If you have select drop down, whenever you select something, okay, and that's that value will be selected, that option inside the
Same
select,
way on change, right? Okay.
yep, it will go on change. Same logic. All right, so right after that, you can do form submission over here, right? So you can either send it to the data server or send it to the database or API endpoint to save the data related to this account. Okay, so how can we reset the data? Like I submitted, right? But the data, the values that I added are still there. Like we're not doing CRUD application right now. That's why we don't deal what we are doing after we are submitting and handle form submit. Okay, so we are trimming these values, right? When we trim it, you guys make sure that you need to check right here if all of the values, all make sure all form data is not empty. Okay, so if um, Of course, we can still the structure over here, right? Inside our handle. Right over here, you can say if f name not equal to empty string and etc. Right? You guys need to do that, but we're not doing it right now. Right? So form data. How do I reset? How do I reset my form data? What's the idea, guys? So resetting, right? Resetting.
Just set
It-
to empty.
Yes, every single one of them should be right. Set form data. Every single one of them has to be like this. Okay, but as you guys see that we have redundant code right now, right? We're typing the object twice. So instead of that, we can grab this guy right here, and right over here we can say constant initial form data is equal to, all right, this is the initial form data, and put it right here, right? And at the same time, we can put it back to our initial data. Okay, so a whatever. Yep. We got our data and our form is resetted. Now this guy right here doesn't have to be inside the function. You guys can definitely bring it up over here. Right? It's up to you guys. Another thing about okay, so we have this such a this kind of form, all right? But what happens if I have okay, so what happens if I have something like this? Okay, what happens if I have if I need to grab additional data from the user, like a string? Okay, something like this. And what if my address will? It definitely makes sense to keep every single related data like this, right? So instead of putting every single one of them like this, we just put it inside nested object. We have nested object, right? This is nested object. Now, is this gonna work? Is my thing right here will work the exact same thing as we did for these guys?
No.
Let's see if it's updating, right? Let's see if it's updating. So I put the field set, and as you guys can see, I do have on change, and they'll change, and all right, so name address. Okay, so let me remove these guys over here for now. I will show you guys a little bit later, right? So state and name is zip code.
Is it for label? For attribute, we need to write it like HTML4.
Yes, so in React,
It's like a class name, right?
yes, in regular DOM we have 4, okay, but in React we have to have HTML4, right? Just like the class name, just like said, in DOM we have a class, but in React we have class name.
Yeah, okay.
Same thing with the on change, right? In DOM we have all lowercase it, but this one is capital case. Okay, cool. So now I do have on change for every single one of them, type text, etc., or etc. All of them type is except the zip code, and I do have names. Okay, same logic applies to all of these. They have values and they have names. They don't have values. right? So what I can do here, value, did I destructure it over here? No. I can say address and destructure it like this. All right, don't worry about that. Why are you actually, hey, value here, street. Okay. Okay, let's see what do we have. Apartment, city, state, zip code. Apartment, street, city, state, and zip code. Cool. All right. So nothing special about this addition, right? We're trying to see our form data. All right, so I'm not able to update these guys right here. Why? What's going on here? That's the problem right here, guys. That's the problem. So basically, it's not able to update right over here. It's not able to get the value and name. Okay, so because of that, we're not able to update the value and name. Right? And when I destructure it, it is still says that okay, they're still like this. It cannot update over here. Okay, because when it comes to street right here, the street is inside what? The street is inside address, right? Right over here, we need to make sure that we go inside the address first and then update the street with the value. Okay, but this one is only for the first level. It doesn't go to the nested objects to update it. That's why we are not able to see our values, updated values in the UI, right? So even though I said right. So as you guys can see, I put something in there, B, right? It created street and value B inside my form data. It did not go inside address and update the street. It just went inside the street in form data and created a new value, street B, which we were not expecting it to do, right? What we want it to do is to update and dynamically, right? So that's why we need to make sure that the address inside our field set, they contain the name as address dot whatever the name comes after that. Okay, like this. Address dot street, at the same time HTML4 address dot street. Apartment address dot street, apartment address dot apartment. What else do we have? Name address dot city and HTML4 address dot city. State, state, zip code, zip code. Okay, So now when I handle change right over here, when I handle change, I need to make sure that first of all, I need to check if the name when it comes to for these guys right here until GitHub, right? Starting from first name to GitHub, they don't have name that starts with address, right? Address dot. But these guys have name or ID, doesn't matter, that starts with address dot. So for that, we need to put an if else statement right over here. Okay, right over here we can say if name, right, starts, if name starts with address dot, you guys can definitely use includes, right? If it includes address, then do this one, right? But this one should work fine too. If name that starts with address, then we need to make sure we update right? If the name starts with address, the set form data will be different. If it doesn't start with address, then it should be just like this. Okay, instead of object 2, I will just grab this object and put it right over here. Make it a little bit simple look. Okay, so if the name starts with address, how do I update this fields right here? Same logic, right? This part is same logic. We bring it over here. This part is same logic. Get all the data, form data, right? Also, I go to address, right? And now get all the remaining data inside the address, right? Get all the remaining data inside the address. And now we can put this guy right here. The name, value, trim. Oh, this guy, this has to be form data dot address. Okay, we're grabbing form data first, and address is just the key property, right? And then whatever the form data that address contains, the remaining, we're grabbing it. Okay, we're grabbing it. However, is this name still valid? No, it's not. Okay, it's not valid because we said, okay, name starts with, if the name starts with address, which the name is basically this one. Address and street for state, street, all of them are same, starts with like this. So now we need to get this part right here in order to put the name over here. Okay, how do I get it? I just split these guys by dot. Right over here, I can say constant address field is equal to name that split by dot, and grab the second item, right, in index 1. When I split it, it will create an array which contains 2 items. Okay, split array. Inside array, I do have this guy and this guy. Now I'm just selecting the street part. And now I can put this address field as the dynamically right over here. Okay, the value is the same. Value would be the same thing. Now, if it doesn't start with address, then regular updates. Any questions here?
No. Yeah, everything is clear. No questions.
Cool. So let's see if it's working now. All right, our initial form data is there. Now we are updating our form data. And now we are also resetting our data. So now, bring it down a little bit. Address, all right, and it's a number. Okay, submit. As you guys can see, we have address, right? We're grabbing all the address related data. At the same time, we're grabbing the form data, the first level, and this is a nested object. And we are resetting all the data. All right, so let me show you guys one last thing related to this one. Okay, so what happens? Another logic here. So we have address right here. Okay, and what happens if we have another field set? What happens if we have another field set like this? Right? Login credentials in this case, okay? And our form data contains login credentials, email and password. Now, is this gonna work? Is this logic will work for both of these, login and address and whatever we have?
Can you show us name?
Yes, absolutely.
No, it will not work.
Yep, the HTML4 is login.email and name is login.password. Is it gonna work?
No.
No, it's not gonna work. So how do I make it dynamic? How can I make this part right here dynamic so that, the first option would be, I can do this one right here, right? Else if name starts with login dot else, etc. Okay, and then login field, name split, blah, 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 and this comes to login. Okay, I can continue doing this one. One more parenthesis, yes. Okay, I can continue. But imagine if you have address, if you have a login, if you have siblings or certificates, diplomas, etc., related to a student or whatever the user. Are you gonna keep doing it else if? Is it the right solution to go with? No, it's not. It's not the right solution to go with. Okay, so how can I make sure? How can I make sure that I want to make this guy right here dynamic, right? So we don't need this guy right here, else if, right? We don't need that. What we can do here is that as we are grabbing this address field, we can grab the first part right here, the first part, okay? So what we can do here, we can say constant nested key is equal to name dot split by dot, all right? And then grab the item in index 0. Okay, grab the item in index 0. So basically, this is what? Address or whatever the login comes, okay? Something like this. We're splitting by zero, we're splitting by dot because we don't know what comes here. If the name comes address.street, or if the name comes login.email, then we can split it and grab this part right here. So right over here, as you guys can see right here, instead of this address, what I can put here? Dynamically nested key. All right, if I say nested key, so instead of this guy right here, I can say nested key. Dot. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, it is a good idea.
All right.
Yeah, why we need to use this $sign here? So not just the curly braces.
Because I'm trying to put
Okay,
it.
because it's
I'm trying to put it inside the.
string.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
So you also need to change addresses, right?
Address field. Yes. So what can we do here? Instead of address field, generic name, you can say nested key field. Okay. So now, instead of address right here, right? Instead of address right here, I can put dynamically. Everything is dynamic right now, right? Instead of address right here, I can put this nested key. And instead of address right here, I can put nested key, right? Can I put like this?
No, nested key field.
Yeah, should I put like this?
I thought yes, but why not?
Yeah, but do I have nested key over here?
Oh no.
Yeah, so this has to be dynamic, right? As you guys can remember, if I would like to reach out to the dynamically right here, it has to be key field, okay? Whatever I'm grabbing as a name, it has to be, it's either this one or this one. So nested key has to be inside my square brackets. And now, instead of address field, I can put nested key field.
It's a magic, Azamat.
There's a lot of magic going on, yes. I mean, this way is just shortens our code to way easier, makes it way easier, right? So instead of else if, you never know how your data will look like in the real
Yeah,
world
it's
practice.
I think it's not magic. It's a logic to understand. It's a little different logic. Yeah, yeah. When we put in. Okay,
So-
yeah, but it's yeah, we need some time to digest and practice to understand fully.
Two email and passwords. Oh, I mean you have two emails, right? And he will know by just first part of name, which email.
Oh, don't pay attention
In
to
a
the structure of the
different
form.
places.
Don't pay attention to the structure of this form. I can just remove this email. That's fine. I'm just put it as a sample. I never thought that this
Scroll
email, but
down.
yeah.
You just when you created the new address field, you put it in. I don't remember. Can you scroll down just up?
Yes.
You just
So yeah, address
will be
that street, and name address that street.
yeah. I mean you put it street, apartment, city, state, zip code inside of. I forgot this name. You
The
call
structure.
yeah instruction. So do you need to put email one more time, or he will find which email you are changing if you will have a same
Oh yeah, you're right. Yes. So we definitely we definitely have to have something like this
one more time. Yes, for yeah, that was my question.
to login. Yes. Yep,
Mhm.
for the login. And this is gonna be email password.
Okay. But yeah.
Good. Here's the problem we're seeing right now, right?
Login email.
It's just confusing that which email should I take it. So can we do this? Email 1, okay? And this one will be email 2. Okay, so if I come down here, we just take email 1. And if I come down to login part, I'll just put email 2. Where's my value? Oh, I did not put values for these guys. Email 2. Value. That's okay. We can definitely do this type of destructuring. Basically, we're just creating a different value for these guys. All right, so let's test it out. Okay, you guys can definitely change the type for this password in email as you wish, right? This right now is just a text for both of these, but we have different types for these HTML tags, as you guys know. So let's just click submit, and we are resetting our initial data. So this one is for address, and this one is for login, and it is updating the specific relevant information inside our form data. All right, let's take a break, 10 minutes break, and we'll continue from there. Any questions so far?
I don't have questions.
Cool. Cool. I'm still sharing. All right, cool. So now, we have another thing called, let me create my form. My form 1 and my form. Okay, that was initial, and we will be working on this, my form X. Similar to what we can use, we can generate our state variables like this with use state, right? React hook has another option that we can deal with the state is called useRef. Okay, useRef is a little bit different compared to use state. But there's a little bit of difference between them. Okay, so let me take a look at input state reference values with refs. When we want a component to remember some information, but you don't want that information to trigger new renders, you can use ref. So basically, when we use useState, right? When we use useState, most of the time, the useState provides our state variable and a function that updates our state variable. Right? We use useState to update our state, and what the specific function of useState, it provides us a function that can re-render our application. All right. So basically, our useState is used to manage our state data in our functional components. When we update the state with using useState, the React application will re-render the component to reflect the updated state. Okay, the simple example for this one is the counter app, right? We have increase and decrease. When we click increase, we will see the updated state in the UI. For that purpose, we can use useState because useState provides a function that we can re-render our application and then see the updated state in the UI. Right? That's the main purpose of useState. But there is another option, as I was telling you guys, using useRef. If you don't want, right, the primary use case for useRef is if you don't want your application to re-render, then we can use useRef. Right? In some instances, we don't want our application to re-render. For instance, we can definitely use for this my form application, but it's not suggested to use for form applications because it is definitely suggested to use ref for specific purposes, right? For instance, a ref is like a secret pocket of your component that React doesn't track. For example, you can use references to store timeout IDs, DOM elements, and other objects that don't impact the component's rendering output, right? So basically, it will not render. Let's see this example. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, it looks weird because of our styling, right? Because of our styling. If I remove the styling, that's fine. So the use case for input ref, right? This is how we create our the state variable with use ref like this, right? Constant input ref, use ref. The usage for like to show you guys to show the difference. Okay, so this is how we create our state variables with use state, and we give them what the default value, initial value, right, for the count. However, with the use ref, we don't have this set count function, right? Which means that when we use ref, our component will not re-render. Our component will not re-render. All right. So, and then input ref right over here, we can put to our input, but as an attribute ref, right? In the regular inputs, we have names, we have IDs, we have on change, and we have values, right? Instead of that, we can put a ref every single input that we have and put the input ref as a variable, as a value. Okay. So now when we click focus the input button, right? We have handle click and we have function. When we click that button, in order to reach to the referencing value in our React applications created with useRef, we have current. Right? Basically, this is an object, and this object looks like this. It has current, okay, and initial value. This guy right here, initial value null. It depends on what initial value you put. You can put the 0, you can put the empty string, etc. Whatever you put that right here, it comes right over here. Right? Basically, our input ref is an object, and it looks like this. That's how useRef creates a reference variables. Okay, so when useState creates it, it creates count and it puts set count function. It provides set count function, and this is the initial value for the count. But count is not an object, right? It's not an object like this. It is just primitive value, a number. But with the useRef, we have current null. Okay, so now since we don't want our application, our component re-render, we just use this for specific purposes. Okay, with ref, we have direct access to DOM. All right, we have direct access to DOM. Basically, we are accessing to this ref input with ref, right? We need access with ref. Basically, this guy is representing This guy is basically E dot target. Okay, input ref current means in this situation only. Okay, in this situation only, E dot target at focus. But E dot target is not referencing to this button. It references to this guy right here. Right? E dot target input represents input. Okay, because input ref is put as a variable for the ref attribute, right? For the ref attribute. So now, if I save it and if I click it, now this guy will be focused, like it will be highlighted, outlined. Focus, as you guys can see, this input right here is outlined. What do I see if I console.log? Input ref.current. What do I see?
No.
Yes, initially it's null, yes. But here's the thing. Where's that object coming from? Ah, okay, it's gone. So initially it's null. Yep, definitely. So if I copy this one and put it right over here, okay, input.current, well, before we put this guy right here, before we put this reference, okay, it's null, right? Before we put this reference, it's null. However, as soon as you put the reference, right? As soon as you put the reference, this input ref will get that value right away. Okay, it will get the value right away. So now, if I save it, now if I click focus the input, that's my input right there. And I'm doing what? Input ref that current. You can also add some stylings for this one, right? Okay, so you can also do input that current instead of focus, input that current that value, for instance, Alex. Okay, as you guys can see, we are able to access to the DOM directly and update it, right? But it's not re-rendering. We are not re-rendering the application. We are not using use state, because the only way, as you guys know, the only way to re-render our component is if something from the props change it, or something from our state change it with the help of use state. Okay, that's the two only options we can re-render our component. Other than that, with use ref, we can reach out to the DOM elements and manipulate them like this. Okay, that's one of the options to. So as it says, you can use refs to store timeouts or DOM elements and other objects that don't impact the component rendering output. It does not impact the component's rendering output. Right? We're not trying to do like, all right, I click the increase button and then my value count appears right here. No. This way, we are directly reaching out to the reference to the DOM element and then updating the value with this one. But our component does not re-render.
You said ref giving us access to the DOM, right? Ref. And
In this case, yes.
okay. And
I'm trying to see another example right here. Set now. Okay, so let's see a new date that new date that now. It's not a constructor. New date. What's the use case was the give me a second, guys. So new date that the new date is this one. If I say to local string, do I need to wrap this thing right here? To local date time string, local time string. Okay, so we can do some sort of a time for this guy right here. So what we can do here, it's like the count. Instead of count, we can say time, the time, and as an initial value, I can grab this guy right here, paste it over here. Okay, and then span, current time, and we can just put our time over here. Okay, current time is this one. Let's put a button here. With the button, we can say start. When we click start, this time will change in every second. Basically, it will just count 36, 30, 37. These seconds will change, and our regular time will be shown within the console. Okay, that's what we are trying to achieve over here. Let me just put it inside. Make it a little bit bigger. There we go. All right, so handle click, one click, handle click. Now, when as soon as I click it, right, I can using the set interval, right? Set interval takes two parameters. First one is a function. The second one is milliseconds. Okay, so inside my set interval, I can do set time. And set time will be exactly new date, local time. Okay, so as soon as I click start, as you guys can see, my time is working fine right now, right? My component is updating every second because with the set interval, we are changing the time and we are seeing in the UI in 1 second later, it's running it again and we're changing the time and we're showing it in the UI again. right? Every second. Okay, so and since the time, right? The time we're trying to display in the UI, that's why we use state. Okay, so how do I stop this interval? We have set interval. What else do we have?
Removed. Clear.
Yeah, exactly. It's removed, but yeah, it's clear, right? So set interval. Okay, and we have clear interval. Oops, clear interval. Okay, set timeout. Clear timeout. Okay, so for this clear timeout right here, what is this set interval returns? It returns a number. Okay, that is interval ID. Right? If I say constant interval ID, set interval. If I say constant.log, interval ID. Okay, let me refresh the page. Now, initially, my time is whatever the time is, and then it will save it. Now, as soon as I click start, as you guys can see, interval ID is 11. Interval ID is 11. So when I'm trying to clear my time, I need to make sure that I use that interval ID. Okay, as you guys can see, my time stopped. All right, my time stopped. If I click start again, it's starting again. Now it's generating another interval ID because I cleared the previous one. Right? If I clear it again, my time stopped. So as soon as I clear that interval ID, my set timeout stops because I'm clearing the interval. Set interval, clear interval. Right? So for that, I can just put stop button. Okay. Handle, click 2, right? And handle, click 2. Okay. But here's the thing. I am running this set interval right over here, and I'm creating with constant interval ID. Right? Constant interval ID. Constant interval ID. So do I have access to that interval ID over here?
No.
Do I have access?
No.
No, I don't have access. And I'm not updating my interval ID does not have anything to do with the UI. Right? I don't need anything. I don't my component to re-render to see the interval ID in the UI. Okay, so for that reason, we can use ref for the interval ID. Okay, what we can do here, instead of input ref, we can say interval ref, right? Initially, we can specify as null. Okay, and then right over here, this interval ref, which contains current, right? It's a mutable object. We can mutate the contents of this object, but of course, we need to keep as current. Okay, we're not gonna be. We will not put like h1 ref and then interval ref. No, we're not gonna do that. Okay, we can mutate the interval ref right before the return. Any places before return. Okay, so you don't have to put a reference, but for the input, we can definitely put as a reference because we were trying to reach out to the element, HTML element. But here, the purpose of using this use ref and interval ref is we need to keep this interval ID that was generated by set interval and then use it in another function. Right? So for that, instead of constant interval ID, what we can do here, we can say interval ref, dot current. Right? Interval ref dot current. Now we have interval ref dot current is whatever the generated ID by its set interval. So I can grab this guy and now, okay, and now I can right over here I can say clear interval and put interval ref dot current. Now initially it was null. If I had input right here and if I put input ref interval ref, as soon as I put it, it will grab that DOM element and paste it inside interval ref current. But now when I'm updating my interval ref, when I'm clicking the button, start button, as soon as I click the start button, interval ref that current value is changing with interval ID that was generated by set interval. Okay, it is generated by set interval. And now when I click stop button right here, I can stop my timer. So if I save it now, so let's refresh, 6:44, start, right? It's working fine. So instead of doing clear interval over here, now we can click stop button, which will stop our timer. Stop. Yep, it stopped now. If I click start, it's going to generate another interval ID and it will restart my set interval.
Azamat,
Yes.
I really don't see difference. If we also could just use average variable and yeah, use that variable for clear interval. What difference between them in this case?
So,
and yeah, instead of interval ref, you could use any like variable and make it equal to that timer and stop that timer.
So right over here, you said that we can create any variable like with the use state.
Why use state only just?
So I created the variable already. I said
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just don't find any difference between average variable and ref, use ref in this case.
where is average variable?
I mean, let or const instead of
It's just regular,
could use.
But we told you guys, right? I mean, if I create the interval ID, how do I reach out to this interval ID in a different function?
Could make this in a global scope the same variable and make it.
It is possible. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Yeah,
Saying that
we
we want that interval ID, keep it there, and then put it like this. Yeah, we can do that.
Oh yeah, and what difference?
Okay. Start it. Stop it. It will definitely work. We can definitely go with this way, but we'll try to see the use case of use ref, right? If you don't want to create a global variable like this, the other option would be go with interval ref. Okay, so but do not use state for this one because we're not trying to re-render. We're just trying to save the interval ID generated by set interval and then use it in another function. Okay, so
in this case, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
In this case, so yeah, in this case, variable is going to be outside of the function component, right? So yeah, in that case, so
In that case, yes, it's outside. Yep.
is it somehow it's gonna affect on the so later on or no?
No, I mean you can still
Shouldn't.
bring this side over here, and then do the same thing. It's not going to change.
Okay. Okay. Then, so yeah, another question, Azamat. So this use ref. So under the hood, when we are creating variable with use as ref, is going to create always object with the current, so as a key, so as a current as a key
Yes, it will always generate object with current.
only.
And
Okay.
yep,
So
reach
not
out.
no any other types, right?
No, it has to be
Okay.
interval ref dot current.
Thank you.
That's how the use ref works. Well, the thing is that whether to use state or use ref depends on the specific use case and the requirement of our application, right? As we were saying, that use state is appropriate choice when we need to manage stateful data that should trigger re-render our component when something changes, right? Our state changes. And it is also definitely ideal for managing the data that affects the appearance or behavior of our component, right? So if you would like to see the change in the UI, then use state, right? If you like your state to be reflected in the UI, then you can use state. But use ref is appropriate choice when we need to create mutable references, right? Mutable that we can change, mutable references to values or values like interval ref, interval ID, okay? Or DOM elements that persist across renders without causing re-renders, okay? It's available throughout the renders, but we don't need to re-render our component when we use useref, right? So useref is commonly used for accessing and manipulating DOM elements or storing immutable values like interval ref that don't trigger re-render of the component. In terms of efficiency, both useState and useRef are efficient in their own terms, okay? But of course, their efficiency or the use cases depends on how they're used and for specific use cases. Right? To summarize, useState is efficient for managing component state and triggering re-renders only when necessary. Okay, we need to trigger re-render our component to see the changes in the UI. Then we use useState. But useRef is efficient for creating mutable references without causing re-render of the component. All right, this can be very useful for optimizing performance in certain scenarios. But of course, it depends on what you would like, what you are trying to do in your application. All right, so well, of course, right now it's not working with bring this let interval inside. Okay. Start. Stop. It's not stopping. Why? Why it's not stopping? What am I doing wrong? Who can tell me what am I doing wrong? I brought this let interval inside the function. What am I doing wrong?
I think you didn't change the name sorry, in line 7. I mean, so you have different names.
Forget about the user ref. I'm using interval ID. Let interval ID, interval ID.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I'm clearing the interval ID, but it's not working. Why? Start. It's starting. Yes, that's fine. If I stop it, it's not stopping. Why?
Because it's not changing the UI, I think. It's rendering, no?
Yeah, but here's the thing. As soon as I put outside the my component, okay, when I click stop, it stops. Is it not? Did I save it? Start. Yep, it stopped. Okay, but as soon as I put it inside, what's happening here, guys? Come on, it's very easy answer.
We need to use like скобочки because it's not, I think it's inside of, oh no, it's not inside return. Just this.
That's the thing. So the answer is like right here. What we are doing with set timeout, sorry, set time. What we are doing with this one. When I click start, I'm running the set interval and it is generating a number right here. Right? It is generating a number. But what's happening right here? Right? It's generating a number. Okay, it's fine. Okay, it's generating a number. But when I re-render my component, it starts from top to bottom, and my interval becomes undefined again.
Do you need to make it inside use state? This, oh no, no, no.
No, 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 no,
Wait.
no. Don't confuse that. So right over here, let's say it generated 11. Okay, but I'm re-rendering my component. As soon as I re-render, it starts from top to bottom. But again, my interval ID will be reset back, right? It just becomes undefined. So basically,
Oh yeah, there is no ID.
there's no ID. Yeah, what we are doing here is like undefined. Okay, it's not stopping. It's undefined. But if I do, let's say, assume that it's 11. Yes, it is 11. So it stopped. Okay. When my component re-renders, it stops from top to
Yeah.
bottom. Now it's just resetting it again, right? If I move it up, top to bottom, it's not resetting. The interval ID will remain whatever it will generate right over here. Okay, that's the difference.
Yeah, but in case we use ref, it's so when it's rendering, it will save that.
Exactly. Yes.
value, right?
Use ref. Yep. Use ref will keep that interval ref. Right?
And this variable, we need only inside this function, right? So we don't have to store it outside the function component. So that's why we can inside this function component we can use it. Okay, use ref.
This variable,
Keep it.
interval ref.
Yeah, we only need it inside this function, right?
Of course, you cannot use ref function outside the function. All right, use state and use ref should be
Okay.
inside the function. Yeah,
Okay.
outside the function you cannot use it. Right,
Yep.
that's the difference, guys. But if I do this one, it should work fine. Start and stop.
What numbers you are getting when you click start, like 11 and 12?
It changes. Yeah, it's a random number. It just generates randomly. It's not exactly same all the time. Okay, it's not exactly same all the time. So if I do this, console.log, but let me just remove this set timeout thing. I'd like to just keep it as a regular function, okay, like this. Okay, I need one more parenthesis, sorry. Right? See, it's randomly generating.
Yes. So
it is increasing, but yeah, it's just.
Yeah. I understood, like, if you want to save the use state while you somewhere else, you need to use ref. because it's value of useState, this time number, and we want to save it in other variable here, and will be better if you will use the userref to save it when we render it.
So we, can you say that again, please?
This time string is value of useState, right? Initial value, it's time, yeah. If you
Yes.
want to time somewhere else, like in other variable, we need to use userref, because here we are saving inside the userref as a current key.
Oh yeah, so instead of interval ID, yeah. So what we are doing is interval ref, right? So as I was saying, use ref. So use state returns what? An array that contains a time or whatever the state variable plus the function. Okay, it returns this one. What interval ref returns is object. It will return object, which is this one is the object, and inside the object it has current. That's how they made the setup. Okay, it's not like it will return a null or something else. React developer said that, okay, let's create a user function that will return an object, right? You can name it anything you want, and that object has current. Right? That object has current referencing values, right? So right here, user returns an object like this, constant ref, use ref, and the value you passed to use ref. Whatever you passed right here, 0, it will be the current initial value. Right?
So
and you can access the current value of that ref through the ref that current property. This value is intentionally mutable. We can change it, meaning you can both read and write to it. It's like a secret pocket of your component that React doesn't track. This is what makes it an escape hatch, right? From React's one-way data flow. More on that below, etc. So right over here, they put.
Azamat, if we need to create so multiple variables, we need just to create multiple. So with user.
Yes, if you need to create
Okay.
multiple variables, you can create multiple variables with the user.
it's interesting. So here our current is time, right? Instead of null, we're putting time.
Our current, no, our current we're doing right here.
Yeah, and it is actually,
Yeah,
no, it's
ref that current. So whatever the ID, like 11 number generated by this set timeout, right? Set timeout generates a number. We're storing that this set timeout interval ID into this current. So now instead of null, the current becomes 11, for instance.
yeah, it's not
Now,
time.
yes, and now right over here, we can reach to that interval ref current whenever we want within this function, and then clear the interval.
Okay.
Stop. All right. Let's, how about the 5 minutes break?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, I do have this form data, right? This form data we created with useState, and I do have an option that was generated by useRef. Okay, well, I can just show it to you guys. I'm not gonna write down the whole thing. I will just copy and paste, and we can just review it because we need to do to-do list the application. Let's just take a 5 minutes break. Ongoing without losing any time. Okay, so I created another component, my form useRef, and basically I converted this my form JS6 with the useRef version. Okay, so instead of creating a form data with the useState, I created useRef, okay, and form data ref. So this form data, how it looks like, as you guys know, we have current, and then whatever the initial data we put is in the object, okay? Initial ref data. And handle change is kind of same, and handle submit is kind of same. The only difference is that, okay, the only difference is that we have on change, we don't have value. We don't need re-render and show the value, right? Updated value in the UI. Okay, so in the previous versions, we had the form data, right? And then we were with the handle change, we were updating the values and we were setting the new form data values. And then with the new form data values, we were destructuring and updating the values of each individual inputs. Okay, but with the use ref, we don't have a function that we can re-render our component. What we are doing here with the handle change, with the single function, and with each of them containing on change only, they don't have values, right? They have name, fname, lname, age, email, etc. Okay, without the address, without the login, right? So we're changing the same logic, but in here, right? In here, instead of a set form data, we're just updating the form data reference that current. We're updating this initial reference data with the updated data. That's it. Okay, in the first level, we were saying form data ref dot current. Okay, form data ref dot current. We're grabbing the remaining the values, and we're updating specific name and value that belongs to our form data ref dot current. Okay, once we do that, and inside my handle submit, I do have access to my form data ref. Okay, form data ref, access from data from state. Okay, and access from data from okay, both of them are the same. That since we have access to our data from state, right, which was generated by using use ref, we can here, just like we handled our submitted form data, we can do the same thing. We can send to the API endpoints or send it to the database, etc. Save the data. And now, this is how we can reset our form data back to its what? Original initial ref data. So basically, when we create a data with use ref, we are creating a mutable object, as it was saying, right? We can mutate this object. Right? Form data ref, when we reset, this is how we mutate it. We can mutate this object anywhere we want. And right over here, we were mutating the same object. Form data ref dot current. Right? So app.jsx contains my form. That my form is coming from my form use ref, right? My form use ref is my form component. And now we can test it out. Refresh. So if I type anything, oops, all right, okay. So if I click submit, I should be able to see my form data, right? So submit, as you guys can see, the form data ref contains, it's an object, it contains current key. And the value is our initial ref data, initial reference data. Okay, so it contains current and initial ref data. But right over here, and we have updated data.
Zamat, you said we don't have value for inputs, right? In HTML tags.
Yes, because we don't want re-render and we don't want the updated value in the UI.
When you did name and to value, what is value there? in line 22, for example, name is value.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Even though you don't type value here, right? Even though you don't type a value here, if you type value here, you're just setting it manually.
But we have even, yes.
But
Anyway,
even though you don't provide a value here, these inputs contain a value. Whatever you type it, those are the value.
yeah.
Okay, just remember from the DOM projects, even though we didn't write value, but when we reach out to inputs with the ID or query selector, and when we see e.target that value, we were able to see whatever we type in the value, right? So just like that, we have access to these guys, right? And whatever we type as a value, that's the value. But if you type value right here manually and it's an empty string, it's gonna be always empty, right? I cannot type right now.
I see.
It's gonna be always empty. But if you type right here, Alex, it's gonna be always Alex. You cannot change it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And it's component right here. A component is changing an uncontrolled input to be controlled. This is likely caused by the value changing from undefined to a defined value, etc. Okay, so the only difference is that with the useref, we don't have a function that we can re-render, right? If you don't need to re-render, use useref. If you definitely need to render and would like to see the data in the UI, then you can definitely use useState. All right, cool. That's it for this one. Let's do our actual project. Where's my, cool. So this guy right here, did I share you guys with, maybe not. Oh, this guy right here. Oh, let me show you guys one thing over here. So in here, I don't have any React strap, okay? So as I was saying, React strap, okay, is a React component library for Bootstrap, right? With the Bootstrap, we have a really cool looking UI. And with the React strap is a library that provides us components, ready to use components, good looking, cool looking components, right? So installation will be npm install React strap. Don't worry about this React and React DOM because we already installed in our applications, right? React and React DOM is already installed. So now the only thing needs to be installed is npm install React strap. Okay, npm install React strap. As soon as we do that, it will pop up right over here in our package.json. Okay, so let me go back to my app.jsx and remove these guys because I'm not going to use those. I don't have anything, of course. So now there's and we need to include the Bootstrap. At the same time, we need to install Bootstrap, guys. Right? npm install. Just copy and paste it. Right? npm install. You can either do save Bootstrap or without it. You can do that same thing. If you do this one right here, it will add to the dev dependencies, right? Because we don't want this Bootstrap to be inside the dev dependencies. We want it to be dependency because our application needs this Bootstrap. npm install Bootstrap. Bootstrap is installed. The next thing would be import this CSS file from Bootstrap. Since we installed the Bootstrap, right? Since we installed the Bootstrap, Bootstrap is inside our right over here, node modules. Now we can import this module from Bootstrap, right? Go to main.jsx and put this Bootstrap main.css file. Okay, saved it. Come down here. So now, as soon as we do that, or we can also include in as a link inside the head. Let's probably come down here to the public. No, it's not public, sorry. Index.html and put it right over here as a link. You can definitely do that. But we prefer to be included inside the file, which is also fine. Okay, now it's good to go. So come down here, button from React Strap. So what we can do here, import button from React Strap, and now we can use button over here. Right, button, click me, and this button contains color. Right, danger. The success or primary, secondary, warning, etc. Info, those type of colors. Now, if I see my UI, as you guys can see, click me. This is primary, this is success, this is danger. It will provide ready to go buttons for us. It's already silent.
Excuse me, Azamat. Is this
Yes.
React Strap so works on top of Bootstrap?
It comes with the Bootstrap, yeah. So it says install Bootstrap, React Strap. At the same time, include Bootstrap. They work together.
Okay.
Right? So unlike some component libraries, React Strap does not embed its own styles and instead depends on the Bootstrap, okay? It depends on the Bootstrap CSS framework for its styles and theme.
So this button is component, right? Not just the tag.
This button is a component, but it's a regular button that we create like this, right? Which we can add on click, etc. All right. When you click on click, add on click to this button, you can do the same thing for this component button. It will act as if this regular thing, okay? Right. So the other thing is you can import the model. Every single, these are the components like forms, right? You just show the code and copy paste, for instance, input right here, right? This whole thing, this form right here, you can grab it, or the submit button, right? Form feedback, etc. Carousel. Okay, look at this. Show code and carousel and items to display images. Click this guy right here, it looks like this. It's ready to go component. The only thing you need to put is this data, okay? And that should be fine. As soon as you put the data and copy the code and put it into your component, your slides would be ready to go. There's a lot of cool stuff. For instance, right here, card is also very useful, right? Look at this. It's ready to go card. You can put your image or anything you'd like to put. Okay, so for our to do, did I share the link with you guys? Oh my God, no, I did not share the link with you guys. Interesting. Where's my link? All right, it's in the Zoom chat. Grab that link, clone it locally, and just run the application. And right now, it's not doing anything, okay?
Azamat, you are every time sharing the starting code. So just do it with you together or just repeat after the class from the beginning?
I am trying to avoid I'm trying to not to waste time to create this type of UIs. That's my whole goal, okay? If I don't have the starter code, then I have to create this UI from the beginning. I need to write the CSS, I need to write this input group, etc., etc. Right? So I'm just giving you guys the starter code. There's nothing special about it. I just installed React Strap, installed Bootstrap, and inside my main.jsx, I imported the Bootstrap just like I did in the previous file. where I showed to you guys. Okay, that's it.
I mean, do you wait from us to repeat each project from the beginning after your class, or it is not in your mind? Like you are setting a starting code after the finishing class, we need to repeat everything from the beginning. Is it your idea or not? I mean, do you request from us to repeat their project from the beginning?
Of
Like,
course, yeah, of course. Go through the projects from the beginning.
because
What's
okay.
what's the concern here? Tell me, please. Talk to me.
Yes, I'm not able to do it. I did only like 2 projects from 10 if I compare. It's really hard to do it in my own from the beginning to the end. I mean, yeah.
So are you telling me that those starter codes are not helpful, or what are you trying to tell?
I mean, is it
Please,
like,
I'm here to help you guys. Come on, please tell me. I'm here to help you. What would you suggest? What should I do?
I mean, is it like homework to repeat every project after the class? What we did with you during the class?
At least
Or
that's what I did when I was taking the cohort. Yeah, I was
okay.
sitting until 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was just we actually started with Conwick together, right? So we were just staying up late and trying to understand what we went through the class, and then we were trying to do the project from scratch,
Mhm.
right? So that's how we learn. I mean, even if it's a small counter project, do it again and again and again. Eventually, you will understand what the state is, how the props is moving around, how the state is changing, and how the forms work in React applications. Do it again and again. That is fine. It may seem like you're just wasting your time. No, you're just gaining some experience.
Uh,
If you can find the time to work on these projects from scratch, do it.
okay, I will try. Yeah, it's not really easy for me, but yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, Azamat. I mean,
Absolutely, yeah. So, yeah, that's how we learn. Practice, practice, practice. Otherwise, we will forget in the next couple weeks everything we learned if we don't practice.
okay, I will do that after class. We can continue. Thank you.
All right, cool. So we already have styling applied. There's nothing special about this. Okay. And then we imported these components from React Strapped. Okay. And then just placing it, it will show our list. So right over here, this input group, right, list is what is holding this to-do list. But if I click this, if I increase this to-do list one more time, it will be my second to-do, right? If I say, excuse me, to-do 2, okay? So basically, what I can do here, I can grab this guy right here and create its own component, right? I can grab that guy, create its own component. Again, components, single to-do, JSX, right? Out of C, functional component, instead of this guy right here, I will just grab this guy right here and put it right over here. Of course, it will complain that I don't have this stuff over here, which I need to bring it over here, right, from React Strap. So now in this case, we don't have list, but our list is on the other side. Let me keep this React for now, which might help you if I use state. Okay, so now I don't need this input group. What I need, single to do. Okay, so if I add more, then it will be more added. right? It will be added more. I want to grab this whole thing into its own component too. I would like to call this to-do list.jsx. We're trying to isolate ourselves from app.jsx. All right, RFC. There's no need, but let's just keep it separate. Of course, the requirement for JSX, right? The return value for the component is to return single value. So for that, I need to use fragment. Same complaint. Cut this and bring it right over here. All right. So I'm not using these guys over here. And I need to bring this single to do from single to do. And now I can just do to-do list over here. And I don't have single to do anymore. So if I refresh, I'm seeing the exact same thing, right? So I have FJSX and to-do list. Inside my to-do list, I am importing my single to-do. And the single to-do has these guys. But of course, if you have multiple single to-dos, what we can do here, we can map through those to-dos array, right? Usually we have to-dos array. Now I can generate to-dos array over here, or we can generate it and put it into our local storage. Okay, so right over here, what we can do here, constant todos, set todos, use state. Okay, do you guys prefer do it as an array or object? I think we did it object last time.
For what is this to do for keeping new list?
Yeah, we can do it, right?
Keeping new list, yeah. So basically, if it's array, it will look like this, all right? Array of objects, and each to do will have an ID, okay, and then it will have a text to do one, and then complete. Initially, it's false. All right, so there will be additional to-dos if it's array. What if it's object? If it's object, okay, what we can do here, we can put the ID, right? For instance, one, and then put the object itself, and keep these guys inside the object. So like this, okay. Yeah, stop complaining. And for ID2, another object, etc. Using object, when we click, when we edit and to do, we can reach out to the object key directly, right? With the time complexity of 1, and then update that object. If you use the array, we have to loop through the array and update it, and then generate a new to-dos and use set to-dos to update our to-dos array.
If we use array, it's gonna be time complexity O1, right? Or n, right?
ON, that is correct, yes.
Then using object is better.
To using object is a little bit better, yes.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So to do,
Azamat, just one thing. Can we do you see the button clear all to dos? Can we do it not all, clear all completed to-dos only. He will filter which one is completed and will clear only completed. Not all.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes. In that case, we have to loop through
Right.
the values, right? Or whether it's an object or array, and then we need to make sure that the ones that have complete true, then remove it. Right? It's definitely additional functionality that we can add, but let's just focus on this. Try to finish this one, and then we will try to edit that functionality. Okay, because we are running out of time right now. I apologize for that, guys. We had to cover a little bit more stuff today. All right, cool. So input button to do. What we can do here, let me add my functions first, methods first, handle to do. Constant handle at to do. We'll come back to this, right? Input value. Change. So change. Event. Okay. Of course, I need to have another right? So I need to have another state variable for my input, right? So you guys remember that before we were using what? We can definitely use ref here. Let's just use ref. Input ref is equal to use ref. Okay. Then inside our handle input change, what we can do inside handle input change, we have event constant value is equal to e dot target dot value. And of course, we can trim it. And we need to make sure that if value not equal to empty string. Else, alert, please enter a text. Okay. If value is not empty, then what we can do here?
Input ref equal
Input grab that current value. Okay, so I'm updating this input graph that current value. So now I don't have to have this value over here, right? So now when I click to the button right here, right, I will have access to this input ref current. Console.log input ref current, right? Console.log input ref current. And I refresh the page. Which one you're talking about? On change, handle input change. Yeah, don't worry about that. So now if I type something and if I click add to do, as you guys can see, I do have access to the value. I do have access to the value inside my handle at to-do. And now, which means that I can grab this to-do value and put it as a new to-do. Okay, so we need to generate a new ID for these to-dos. What would be our options, guys? How can we generate IDs? Let's assume that our object is like this, and they contain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I need to get the maximum number out of these values. How do I do that? Can use math.max. Okay, math.max. This guy right here. But what's our array 1? Huh? What's our array 1? Array 1 is our
to-do list. I mean,
object that keys. Oh, sorry, object that keys to-dos, right? Okay, object that keys to-dos. So what I was trying to say is that, let me grab this guy right here and put it inside right here. Okay, you state that to-dos is an object. An object contains one to do only. Okay, text to do 1 and complete false. So basically, if I do object that keys, what am I getting? Object that keys. What's going to generate this one? Object that keys will generate an array, and that contains keys only, right? Am I right?
Can you show again to do?
It is.
Oh, okay.
but
Yeah, my gives only 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, so let a is equal to this one, and if I say object that to do's instead of object that to do's, a 1. All right, and of course it's going to be string. It's going to be string.
how are you creating? You can find maximum, you can get keys, but how are you creating that numbers?
Constant block, new ID. Okay, so basically, let's say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? IDs, and I need to get the number after 4, for instance, right? So basically, if I generate a new to do, I need to get number 2. Okay, basically, I need to get a number 2. So as soon as I get object that keys from this object, and as soon as I put this object that keys over here, it will generate a maximum to me, right? The maximum value inside this array. Do you guys agree? Math.max.
Yep. Okay.
And it's 1. Right? Let me change my object this way right here. By copy, paste again. In this case, I'm going to put 2. Paste again. In this case, I'm going to put 3. Oops. Okay, so now my A looks like this. Okay, and my object that keys A looks like this. And now I need to get the maximum out of this array of string numbers. So to get the maximum, it's giving me number 3 because that's the maximum number. So as soon as I get the maximum number, if I can do +1, I will get the next ID, right? That's the new ID. It's generating new ID for me. But of course, this is not the efficient way of generating new ID, right? Because the fact that this, when we delete something out of this object, let's say we deleted this number 2, right? Then 2 is gone, right? There's no sequence like 1, 2, 3. There's no sequence in these keys. The 2 is gone. Okay. But of course, for short, small projects, it makes sense to use this option. But the other option is to use what? npm.js UUID. Okay. There is a package called UUID. The only thing we need to do, npm install UUID. All right. npm install UUID. Okay. And then use case is this guy right here. We need to import it. Import right over here. And then UUID, this one right here. As soon as we generate new UUID, okay, this is how we generate new UUID. That's it. So now refresh the page on my console. So if I click, if I add anything, and then if I say add to do, this is my new UUID. And it's very long. Every time I click it, it will generate new UUID. All right. So let's just go with the old way for now. We can use UUID for our future projects. Do you guys get this logic?
Yep.
All right, cool. So now +1, we get new ID. All right, cool. I'm thinking like instead of getting the value over here, right? This logic, maybe we should do this logic over here. Okay, so right over here, we'll just assign it right away. Okay, if you don't assign anything, right? If you don't assign anything, it will be grabbed the initial value, right? It will grab the initial value, and it will do the same thing. So now, instead of value, which we don't have access to the value, we can do input ref that current not equal to empty string. Then, then we can say that we can create our new to do. So constant new to do is going to be an object, and it will contain a text, and the text would be input ref current, and complete will be, by default, it's false. Right? If our to-dos was an array, we're going to just push it. But since it's going to be an object, how do I enter with the new ID? Can I do this? To do that new ID? No. I need to do dynamically, right? And then new to do. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Yep.
Cool. But the thing about this one is that we are still, what we are doing right now, we created our state variable to do's with the help of use state. And now if I do this guy right here, am I updating my to do's object directly? I am, right? I am updating my to do's object directly without the help of you set to do's. So I need to make sure that I need to have new to do's object. Okay, new to this object. So it's an object. We can use a JSON parse, JSON stringify for this one. Right? We need to convert to string and then parse it back to get the new object. Okay, so if I do this one right here, is it gonna work? It's not gonna work. In the first level, right? In the first level, it should work fine. These guys, but for the objects that have nested objects inside, these guys will be referencing to the same spot as the to-dos has it. So for that, this spread operator is not gonna work, right? That's why we need to think about either Lodash if your to-dos array, to-dos object is so complicated, like there's lots of nested objects, we can definitely use Lodash. Okay, but what is it complaining about? If unexpected token 40. Oh, okay, so I didn't close it yet. Okay. So new to-dos. Okay, so what we can use is oh, sorry guys, I'm having a brain freeze right now. Okay, so JSON parse. I was talking about the JSON parse, yeah. JSON parse, JSON that stringify to this. And now my new to this is completely different than the original to this. And now instead of to dos, I can do new to dos. All right, new to dos.
Is it for local storage, Azamat?
No, it's not. It's we haven't connected our local storage yet, guys. All right, we haven't connected. So we can connect it if we're gonna have a time. But let's try to add the new to do for now. Okay. So let's make sure that we add a new to do. New to do is new ID, new to do. All right, cool. So now we can do set to do's with new to do's. Console.log to do's. Let's take out these guys first. To do's list. These guys first. Actually, there's no difference because we're going to be console logging it. Okay, so at to do, please enter a text. Oh my goodness. I was like, where is this coming from? It's coming from here, guys. Initially, we put a to-do in there, so that's why. Right, so it says, please enter text. Yep, cool. So now if I say to-do 1, enter it. So to-do 1, infinity.
Why infinity? Minus infinity.
Our new ID is not working right now. Math at max, object at keys to-dos.
Maybe if we don't have the keys, it should return 0. But we have. Yeah.
Okay, it is not defined. Okay, here we go. That's number 3. It's a number, yeah. So +1, input rev current not equal to, we need to do text input rev current. Not need to do.
Something wrong with the max, I think.
Azamat, for the first 2D, if you didn't have ID and you're adding +1, what will you have?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, oh my goodness, you're right. Yes. Initially, our object is empty, guys. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no maximum value on that, right? And we're trying to +1. Okay. So what we can do here, right, so
Check if it's empty.
instead of right here, we need to bring this guy over here, right? I mean, there's no difference, but yeah, I would like to put, instead of to-dos, I would like to put new to-dos over here, okay? New to-dos, right? So what I can do here, if new to-dos, that length, okay? If new to-dos that length exist other than 0, and if it's other than 0, then give me the math max +1. If it's 0, then just give me 1, the first value. You guys agree? To do now, this is my new to-dos. Okay, inside my new to-dos, I have number 1. Okay, and if I add additional stuff right here, add to do, one text complete. Okay, new to-dos, JSON that parse, JSON that string by to-dos.
If, I mean, in line 37, it should be just 1, or object again, new to those keys, it is equal 1. I mean,
Yeah, so if new to-dos is length is 0, right? Let's say is not equal to 0, then give me the math max +1. If it is equal to 0, then give me 1. Because length there's wait a minute, new to-dos is an object, guys. So it's not instead of, okay, so it has to be object that keys or values, whatever. And then we need to put new to-dos dot length. Okay, we need to do this way. That's my first one. And if I change it again, that's my second one. Now it's heading, okay, 1, 2. And if I hit again, it's heading number 3. So we don't have length for the objects, as you guys know, right? New to-dos, I always think that it's an array, but it's not an array. New to-dos is an object. So in order to get the length, we need to do object.keys, new to-dos.length. Object.keys will provide an array, right? And then we can see the length. If there's nothing in the object, then initial value as for the first to-do will be ID 1. And then the remaining to-dos will be generated by this guy right here. Right? We are able to generate our to-dos. Okay, set to-dos. Right, as soon as I do set to-dos, all right, based on that value, we can do what? Based on that value, we can map through our that's the thing for this one. How can I map my object?
You can't map object, so
We cannot map it, right? But we can definitely map. We still can do this one, right? Object that keys. Okay, object that keys, to-dos, and then we can map through it, right? And then it's gonna be single to-do. All right, it's gonna be single to-do. And then we can return single to-do. But of course, we need to pass a key for this one. Okay. But when we do keys, it's not a to-do, but it's a key, right? Or property. It's object property. Okay, object property like text or complete, etc. It's not a to-do yet, right? So we can put this prop. Key is equal to prop because it's a unique. The properties are the IDs actually, right? The properties are IDs. We just put an ID. When we do object at keys, we are returning the IDs as we see 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, those are the IDs. And now, what about my to-do? What's my to-do? My to-do is to-do's ID. All right, I'm dynamically reaching to my to-do's ID. I save it. If I come down here to my props, to-do, I'm destructuring, of course, constant but lock, to-do. As you guys can see, we have multiple. My to-dos contains a lot of information. Okay, but initially it's empty. But if I say T1, okay, it's adding right now. T1. And if I say T2, this guy is manually added over here, right? This guy is manually added over here as a value. We can change this value to do that text, right? To do that text, it changes. T3 is adding another thing, T3. Cool. So how about we continue in the next class?
Okay.
First,
Let's try to continue in the next class, guys.
can
I
I
think
ask,
it's a lot to consume. So you guys, please spend some time to go over the code,
Yeah.
whether it's this one or whether the other form that we did,
Oh.
right? I don't understand.
I think from this project, Azamat, was about parsing and stringify.
Yes.
Yeah, these to-dos is already object, right? It's already
Yeah.
object. And what did you get after using parse and stringify? How it looks new to-dos, how looks new to-dos after parse?
After stringify and after parsing it, it's a different object, right? It's like this, guys, right? So let a, but do I have a? Wait, I think I should have a. All right, this is my to-dos, okay? My A is to. So if I JSON stringify this A, it will look a string. It's a string object, okay? It's a string, and the type of this guy is a string, but inside there is an object, right? You guys can see right here, I don't have double quotes around these tags complete, right? But over here, this JSON stringify is converting this A object into JSON. Look, it's putting curly double quotes in each key property, right? Well, it doesn't have to put this one right here, because if it just put this one right here, it's not going to be Boolean, it's going to be string false. Okay, so now if right after that, if I parse it, I will JSON parse will convert JSON object, JSON string into regular object. So now I'm back to regular object. So this A is exact same as this one, but they are referencing completely different place in the memory. Right. So let me see. Let B is equal to wait. Sorry, this guy. Let B. Right. So A, this one. B is this one. Is A is equal to B? It's false. But what happens if I do this? Let C is equal to A, right? Is A is equal to C? It's true, right? Is A is equal to C? Yes, it's true because I'm creating C object out of A. And they are referencing to the same place in the memory. However, I created my B like this. I prefer stringify it and then parse it, and they are now completely different objects. And if I say A is equal to B, no, it's false. How about this? How about this one? Is object is equal to object?
False.
Yes. Oh, I think it's just expecting a console log. Okay, it's false.
Yeah. So they look same, but they're in different memory places, right?
Exactly identical, but they're referencing to the different places in the memory.
Why you don't want to touch the original object to-dos?
Well, as I was saying, if I touch the original object, and if I change this to dos with the dynamically, I'm updating my state directly, which React does not recommend that. React says always update the state that you created with useState with the provided function.
Yes, it's like database here.
Mhm.
I think we just didn't use like object as a useState initial value. No,
I think we
okay,
used our down project, didn't we?
I have a questions.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
know,
trying to.
before we different things like or Boolean or just number or string, but not database like. Okay, that's all, Azamat. Thank you.
Cool, yeah. We'll continue from where we left here in the next class. Thanks for joining the class, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Have a great day.
Have a good night.